Two police officers are standing next to a tow truck on a lonely gravel road in the mountains of British Columbia. They've been searching all night for a missing woman. They're tired. They're out of leads. And then, a man walks out of the trees. He's barefoot. His clothes are soaked. He looks like he hasn't slept in days. Before either officer can even ask who he is, he speaks first. "That's my car," he says. "I'm the reason you're here. Here's the question I want you to sit with for the next 25 minutes. Why would a man voluntarily walk out of hiding, straight toward police, and say those words?" Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what happened in those woods. And honestly, some parts of this case still don't add up, even after a jury reached their verdict. I want you to weigh the evidence right alongside me. Before we get to that forest road, you need to meet the woman this case is actually about. Because true crime isn't just about the crime, it's about the person whose whole life gets erased by it. Her name was Tatjana Stefanski. She was 44 years old, a mother of two, and she lived in a tiny village called Lumbee, tucked into the hills of British Columbia's North Okanagan region. If you've never heard of it, don't worry. Almost nobody has. Lumbee has about 2,000 people. It's the kind of place where everybody recognizes everybody, where kids still play outside until the streetlights come on. Tatjana hadn't always lived an easy life. She'd been through a difficult marriage and a painful divorce. But by 2024, she'd come out the other side, not broken, but rebuilt. She had a new partner, Jason Gaudreau, who she shared her home with. She had her kids. Friends described her as warm, genuine, the kind of person people were drawn to. One friend, Jen de Boursier, later said simply, "Tatjana was a beautiful person." Here's a question for you. Have you ever known someone who worked really hard to rebuild their life after something painful, and just when things were finally good, something ripped it away? Drop a comment, because that's exactly what happened here. And the person responsible for taking it away wasn't a stranger. It was her ex-husband. Tatjana and her ex-husband, Vitaly Stefanski, had built a life together once. A marriage, 2 kids. And then, like a lot of marriages, it fell apart. We don't know every detail of what went wrong between them. That part was never made fully public. But we do know this. It wasn't a clean break. Vitaly stayed in the area. He shared custody, which meant Tatjana could never fully close that chapter, because he was still in the picture, still in contact, still a part of her life whether she wanted him to be or not. And according to everything that came out later, in court, from witnesses, from his own family, Vitaly hadn't moved on, not even close. Whatever he was feeling toward Tatjana in those years after the divorce, it wasn't ordinary grief. It was something that had been left to grow in the dark. Nobody around them saw it as dangerous. Not yet. That's the unsettling thing about cases like this. The people closest to it usually don't see the moment where resentment turns into something that could kill someone. It doesn't announce itself. By the spring of 2024, whatever Vitaly had been carrying for years was about to come out all at once. April 13th, 2024, a Saturday morning. Tatjana's teenage daughter was staying at her boyfriend's house. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mom, which was strange, because Tatjana almost never texted her that early. The message said her father was leaving. Leaving what? Leaving where? Before she had time to process it, a second message came in. This one wasn't from her mom. It was a voice message from her dad, Vitaly, sent at 7:57 in the morning. He recorded it in Russian, the language Tatjana's daughter had grown up speaking as a child in Germany. That recording would end up being played 2 years later in a courtroom in Kamloops, with an interpreter translating it word for the jury. Here's roughly what he said to his own daughter. That's it, my dear. That's it. Dad is leaving. I wanted to see you yesterday, but it didn't work out. You and your brother are going to be alone. Be tough. I did everything I could. Now, pause on that for a second. Does that sound to you like a father heading out the door to run some errands? Or does it sound like someone saying goodbye? The kind of goodbye where he doesn't expect to be around to explain himself afterward. He also told his daughter something else in that message, that her mother had destroyed our lives, and he told her to stay away from Tatjana's parents. When Tatjana's daughter took the stand years later, she was 18 by then, but she was only 16 the day she got that message. She didn't even need to describe how it felt to hear it. The room already understood. Quick question for you watching. If you got a message like that from a parent, would it have set off alarm bells for you? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious if you'd have caught it as fast as I think you would have. Before we keep going, and trust me, this case gets even more disturbing from here. If you're new here, hit subscribe, because I cover cases like this every week, and you don't want to miss what's coming in this channel. Drop a like if you're invested in this story so far, and if you have a theory about what happened next, put it in the comments. I read every single one. Okay, back to Lumby. While Tatjana's daughter was reading that message miles away, something was happening back at the house, and it was caught on a neighbor's security camera. The footage shows Vitaly and Tatjana standing at the top of her driveway. It's early, it's quiet, and then it stops being quiet. Vitaly would later tell the jury a very specific story, that Tatjana came to him with a bloody nose, that she seemed distressed, that someone had been harassing her, and that he was simply trying to get her to the police. He painted himself, in court, as a concerned ex-husband stepping up to help. But here's what the camera actually shows. Vitaly climbing over Tatjana to get into his car, from the passenger side, not walking around to the driver's door like literally anyone would in that situation, climbing over her. Ask yourself, why would someone do that? The prosecutor asked the jury the exact same thing. Her answer, the only reason to climb over a person sitting in the passenger seat, instead of walking around to the driver's side, is to stop that person from getting out. When Vitaly was questioned about this in court, he first said he'd slightly pushed Tatjana into the car. Pushed further, he admitted. It was more than slight. And then Vitaly's Audi drove away down the road. Tatjana's kids were home without her. Her partner Jason had no idea where she'd gone. She had just been taken from her own driveway. Here's something that matters a lot to this story. Lumby doesn't have a hospital. The nearest one is in Vernon, and Vernon is in the opposite direction from the road Vitaly actually drove. He told the court he was trying to get Tatjana medical help. He also admitted he drove away from the hospital, not toward it. His explanation? He said the car was angled in a way that made it hard to turn around. Sit with that for a second. Does that explanation hold up to you? Because the jury didn't think so either. Instead, Vitaly drove down Maple Lake Road, a remote Forest Service road that winds deep into the wooded hills outside Lumby. No houses, no help, just trees. Somewhere along that road, he stopped the car. What happened next is genuinely hard to describe, so I'll stick to the facts as they were presented in court. Tatjana was stabbed 7 times in the chest, wounds that reached her heart and lungs. Beyond that, she had 21 more sharp force injuries across her arms, legs, and hands. The medical examiner testified that the wounds on her hands were defensive. She fought. She tried to survive. A knife was found near her body, bent and covered in blood. When it was tested, the DNA on it matched both Tatjana and Vitaly. Her body was found down a steep embankment off the side of that forest road, roughly 20 kilometers from where it started. One of the investigators had to tie a rope to a tree stump just to climb down and reach her. She was 44, A mother, a partner, someone an entire village loved, and she was left alone at the bottom of a hillside, as far from the warm home she'd built in Lumby as it's possible to get. That night, nobody knew any of this yet. Jason posted on social media, asking the community to keep an eye out for Tatjana, and Lumby, being Lumby, responded immediately. Meanwhile, police were working a completely different lead. A tip took an officer straight to Maple Lake Road, where he found Vitali's black Audi, abandoned, blood visible inside. What followed was a massive search. Drones over the forest canopy, search dogs, dozens of officers, thermal cameras trying to pick up any heat signature in the dark, hoping to find a living person. The forest gave up nothing that night. Neither Tatjana nor Vitali could be found. The village went to sleep, not knowing whether one of their own was alive somewhere out there in the cold, or something far worse. What would you have been thinking if this was happening in your town? I want to know. Comment below. Now we're back to where this video started. The next morning, April 14th, officers were on that same road, arranging to tow the blood-stained Audi away. They were exhausted. The forest had told them nothing all night. Then a man walked out of the tree line, barefoot, his socks worn through at the toes, soaked clothes. He looked hollow. One of the officers later testified in court that he was completely caught off guard. He did not expect anyone to step out of those trees while they were dealing with the tow truck. Before anyone could ask him a single question, the man spoke first. "That's my car. I'm the reason you're here." When officers asked him to confirm who he was, he allegedly said, "Yes, she is dead. Yes, I killed her." He gestured further down the road, toward where Tatjana's body would be found later that same day. A second officer in a different vehicle testified to hearing the exact same thing. He was arrested on the spot. He also had a self-inflicted stab wound and was taken to hospital. 2 years later, in front of a jury, Vitali would deny every bit of this. He claimed he never confessed, that he'd only asked for an ambulance and said he'd tried to hurt himself. 2 officers independently told the court otherwise, and so did the bloody knife with both of their DNA on it. Here's the part of this story that made an entire village lose trust in feeling safe in their own homes. After his arrest, Vitali was released from custody. Not charged yet, just released, with conditions. Days later, he was seen near Tatjana's home, the home where her children still lived. That was enough. The family left, moving between friends' houses, afraid to go back to their own home. Jason began posting daily updates, describing it as Day 10 of living in fear and in hiding. A fundraiser was set up to help the family, and it said plainly, "This man is freely walking among us in our community." Lumby changed. Fewer people lingered outside shops. Schools tightened who could walk in the front door. Justice for Tatjana stickers started showing up in car windows across town. A candlelight vigil drew about 120 people, though organizers said many more wanted to come and stayed home instead, too afraid. It took 6 weeks, until May 31st, 2024, before Vitali was formally charged with second-degree murder and taken back into custody. He hasn't been free since. 6 weeks. That's how long a grieving family had to hide from the man accused of killing their mother. Does that sit right with you? I'd genuinely like to know what you think the system should have done differently. Leave it in the comments, because this is the part of the case that upsets people the most. The trial finally began in May 2026, almost exactly 2 years after Tatjana's death. Her daughter, now 18, testified again, walking the jury through that morning, the strange text, the voicemail in Russian. Her son, only 9 when his mother was killed, also took the stand. 2 kids, sitting in front of a jury, testifying against their own father. Whatever you think about the rest of this case, that took real courage. Vitaly took the stand in his own defense. He had an explanation for everything: the driveway, the wrong direction, the knife, the embankment. He told the jury Tatjana's death was closer to a suicide than a murder. The prosecutor didn't hold back. She called his story confusing and said it simply didn't match the physical evidence. And she reminded the jury of the words two officers said he spoke in the woods. "Yes, she is dead. Yes, I killed her." She told the jury that might be the one truthful thing he'd said through the entire case. After the defense rested, Vitaly fired his own lawyer and tried to get a mistrial. The judge said no. The jury deliberated into Thursday evening. They came back Friday morning, June 26th, 2026. Guilty. Second-degree murder. Vitaly Stefanski received an automatic life sentence, with no chance of parole for at least 10 years. A guilty verdict doesn't undo any of it, though. It doesn't erase that voicemail. It doesn't give two kids their mother back. It doesn't return the 6 weeks their family spent hiding instead of grieving in their own home. What it does is put a name on what happened. Tatjana Stefanski built something real in that small town. A home, a family, a second chance at a life that was finally hers. She deserved to keep it. If this case affected you the way it affected me putting it together, do 3 things before you go. Hit subscribe so you don't miss next week's case. Drop a like so this reaches more people. And tell me in the comments, do you think 6 weeks of freedom before charges were filed should ever be allowed to happen in a case like this? I'll be reading every response. See you in the next one.